Hi, welcome to the second episode of Blank and Dinner. It's me, Corey. Today's talking points: Stephen Fry, punished for monstrous god slur. Chechen leader declares, no gays live here. Dan Abbott's verbal diarrhea. We'll be talking about all these things and more over jerked pork chops, honey glazed carrots, and tender stemmed broccoli. So let's get started. Cheers.
Cheers.
Stephen Fry has come under some fire for comments that he's made back in 2015 on a talk show where they discussed the meaning of life. I don't know if he's actually ever said or stated that he's an atheist, but he did say that atheism is not just about, or in his view, the disbelief that there is a God, rather perhaps accepting that yes, that maybe there is a God, but that it's a horrible God because how could he let, for example, children have cancer, hunger, all that sort of stuff. And he was saying that, thus leading to various different comments, and one of them that, God was monstrous, right? Yes. And this resulted in one viewer complaining, and now he's being investigated for blasphemy, to which he could be fined up to €25,000. No, 25,000 euros.
I didn't even know you can still be investigated for blasphemy. Well, I remember that interview, and obviously he was quite emotional about the topic, wasn't he? And had some very strong views, and I really can see that some people were very offended by it. But then, equally, doesn't he have, his right to say what he wants to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you believe that there is a God, you have every right to believe that, and then to hold the views that you hold with that, about your religion that you think is true.
And isn't he just raising lots of questions which most probably many people ask themselves at some stage, even if they were, very religious. Why?
How could God let this happen?
Exactly. Why cancer? Why war? Yeah, I'm still just shocked that you can be investigated for that. I would just have expected that to be thrown out right in the beginning without even investigating. And that interview is obviously 2 years old. I've seen that quite a while back. Why now?
I guess we'll just have to, wait to see what happens on that one. So we've been hearing a lot about Chechnya. So obviously we've had reports for the last few weeks now about Chechnya's persecution of gay men, and the fact that over 100 of them have been, rounded up and subjected to, concentration gay camps and being tortured and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, Ramzan Kadyrov? Can't pronounce it. However, the head of the Chechen Republic has declared that there are no gays in Chechnya, and that that Chechens have been living according to the rule of God for hundreds of years, as he calls it, the phenomenon of non-traditional sexual orientation isn't practiced in Chechnya. So obviously it couldn't be true that that they're being tortured because they don't exist.
I think he's just saying that because he wants to hide that they're actually tortured. But I think the rumors around that must have been quite substantial a little while back, because Merkel now has spoken to Putin about that twice. I think once a couple of years ago, and then just recently again, didn't she?
He's saying these things, obviously, which is preposterous and ridiculous and just absolutely crazy. Because he, what he wants to try and say is, actually, yes, gay people exist, but, they don't exist in Chechnya. And he also actually stated that the people, if there are gay people in Chechnya, they're not Chechens, they just claim to be Chechens so that they can access Europe.
But apparently Putin promised Merkel an investigation. Whoever believes that, considering how they treat gay people in Russia.
Yeah, well, it's the same laws in Russia that allow them to treat gays the way they treat them in Chechnya, because obviously Chechnya is part of Russia.
Yes.
So, talking about leaders that are obviously anti-gay, Donald Trump's religious executive order. Well, it's now received over 1,000 signatures from religious leaders saying they don't want it. Because they say that religious freedom is covered by the Constitution.
Yes.
And that this order opens up the door to basically legalize discrimination, on religious grounds.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I think this goes even much further than that one. Because what he's trying to do is to change the Johnson Amendment to the Constitution, which actually says that organizations who are of charitable nature, so as churches, can't form political opinions. I wonder whether he also wants, specific, religious organizations to, very proactively be for Trump and form strong political opinions. And then isn't the order also connected around the entire topic around contraception?
Yes, well, I mean, the thing about it is that, obviously he's anti-abortion as well.
Yes.
And this is something that, he's repealed a huge amount of funding. So the order protects individuals and organizations, obviously, who want to discriminate against gay people on the basis of, on the grounds of their religion. And this is basically what the order are about. It's totally not about protecting religious rights, because as we already know, it's covered under the Constitution. So this man is just not good all around for anybody. And this is just another example of why he is not, fit to be the President of the United States of America.
Absolutely. And what I actually find astonishing is that regardless, he does outrageous things, pretty much on a day-to-day basis. But I think what I find so really dangerous is that everybody seems to get used to it.
It's true. It is very worrying. I think the big issue is that these things they become normalized in society the longer they're allowed to remain. And last week we talked about the fact that he had hit his 100 days and whether or not he would be there. He would see the rest of the year out.
We going massive steps backwards, as a society, and not just in the US. Whatever he's doing, very unfortunately, has a much wider impact than just on the United States.
As a world leader, you have a responsibility to do the right thing, to say the right things, and of course, to set the tone and the normalization of his rhetoric, which is hateful and totally anti-LGBT, among other things.
I think he just needs to grow up or either leave that office.
I think he needs to leave the office. I don't mind if he grows up or not. I just think we don't need any more of Donald Trump than we currently have. Donald Trump, this is my message to you. Just get out of the White House and do us all a favor. Diane Abbott. What on earth? This LBC interview, I feel, probably has handed the Conservatives the general election on a bloody silver platter. I mean, seriously, if you can't add 2 and 2 together and tell what the answer is, how on earth do you expect people to trust you with running the country? And then to come out and say, I misspoke. Oh, I have never hated a term as much as I've hated the term misspoke. Who says I misspoke when they made a mistake? I think the issue I have with Theresa May putting gay rights aside, is that I find that she's through and through a career politician. She saw an opportunity when David Cameron made a massive mess with Brexit referendum. She took that opportunity and she said, well, there are a bunch of idiots running around saying that they want to be Prime Minister. Maybe I have a chance.
Yeah.
And, she took it. And then we had Andrea Leadsom, who basically made an absolute mess of the situation and clearly wouldn't have made it anywhere near number 10 Downing Street. And here she is, she's the Prime Minister. And she's very clever. Let's, give that to her. Calling this general election, whatever people would like to say, the many different motives that are probably behind it. But a very smart move as an unelected Prime Minister, when you are faced with Brexit, a massive thing that's literally splitting the country right down the middle, and you want to be able to push really, really hard. She definitely wants to go for a hard Brexit. Absolutely. But what she does realise, I think, is that if she went down a hard Brexit and things went terribly wrong, she would literally, she would be ostracised from politics forever. What she wants to do now is she wants to gain a majority and use that as a mandate to push really, really tough and hard. And that is what worries me, because I don't actually like the way she operates. I don't like the things that she says, and I find that she's very closed, and she's she likes to do things her way, but she doesn't actually like to tell you why or what she's doing. We've seen on her current campaign that she's been, she's censored the media, to an extent. We've heard reports of, you can't take pictures. The reporters who said, they were allowed something like a 3 to 5 minute chat with her, but they weren't allowed to take pictures. They weren't allowed to record it. It's kind of like, what's the point? What are you looking to hide? Jeremy Corbyn, I'm really, really sorry to say, I was very hopeful that, given the fact that she called this out general election, nobody expected this to happen now, and I kind of hoped that he would suddenly sort of rise up like a phoenix from the ashes, and just surprise us all and become this sort of gleaming light of hope for people who wanted an alternative to Theresa May. Unfortunately, what we've seen from this party as a whole is just, a lot of bumbling idiots going around, not being able to add two and two together, constantly misspeaking. Is that a term? Misspeaking?
I even didn't know that is a word until I saw your post.
Well, there you go. And so, they basically haven't really shown themselves to have the qualities of a leadership party. So, we're left with one choice, which is Theresa May, which is really worrying, because I don't know if in 5 weeks' time I feel confident enough walking to the polling station and what my choices are. It's like I'm being forced to make one choice, not to say that I really want to vote for Theresa May. I've got a message for Jeremy Corbyn. If you really want to win this general election, you need to get your act together. Sort it out. So, Prince Philip has officially retired. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will now have to take on some more duties.
So he's finally stepping up a bit.
Do you think they take it as seriously?
Well, I wonder what people would have said about the Queen before she became Queen, and whether they felt she's taking it as serious. I think it must be really difficult, isn't it? You're born into something, and then that prescribes your life, and you have no choice. Basically, it's not that that William necessarily has a real choice what he wants to do.
And then, of course, we've got Prince Harry with Meghan Markle. And obviously, I'm a massive fan of Suits. I mean, you don't watch Suits, but I do.
No, I don't watch TV.
No, you don't. But this is my binge watching. I sit and I watch Suits literally back to back.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? Do you think wedding bells are on the horizon?
Oh, I think so.
Because you know what, with Meghan, she has really sort of changed her image quite a lot. And one particular brand that she was really involved with, Reitman's brand, where one of their clothing line is a whole leather line, really tight fitting leather line, which by the way she looks fantastic in. So good on her for that. But she's pulled out from that contract, which is very lucrative. So, and this was around the time when things got really serious with them. So I kind of think that things have gotten very serious indeed, and we might be having a very royal wedding very, very soon indeed.
I think so too. I think he has calmed down a number of years already. Where the wild party stories suddenly stopped appearing, and I think she might just be the one.
He's grown up a bit, and he's always said that he wanted to sort of settle down and have a family in the same way that his brother William has. So I think perhaps now he has maybe found the one.
Yes, very exciting.
But that should be very interesting in the years to come. I think that by next year, if not before the end of the year, we will hear of announcements.
Absolutely, and I think by that time the British economy really can do with another royal wedding.
Don't get me wrong, I like the Queen, and I like Harry, and I like William, and I think, but this is it, and I think that they have sort of brought in a new way of seeing the royal family, because they are so connected. They are so close to their audience. And I say audience because I do see them a bit as like celebrities rather than royalty in the sort of real sense of the word. And they are very connected. I mean, I think whenever they are within the public reach, they are there. They're out there. They're talking to people. They're getting involved. They're having a whale of a time. They're very accessible.
And now the royal family actually reflects all the generations in the country. From newborn to granny. So
Harry, if you're watching this, and he probably isn't,
no.
But if somebody who knows Harry is watching this, Harry, here's my message to you. In the words of Beyonce, if you like it, put a ring on it. So, there we have it. Thank you so much for joining us for the second episode of Blank & Dinner. See you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for joining me for the second episode of Blank & Dinner, the current affairs talk show where we talk about politics, LGBT issues, and anything else over dinner. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.